With the time between sets getting shorter as we approach simultaneous release, the time you have to get ahead of price rises is dropping. In this video, I'm covering 10 cards that you can buy now to get ahead of OP12 price hype. And this will be mainly focusing on cards that are likely to see a large spike in meta usage, as opposed to cards that are already meta relevant. And if you watched my EBO2 video on this topic, you may be familiar with how these slides are laid out. So on these slides, I have the current card market 7-day trending for the card in question, the TCG player market price for the card, and then where possible, I've tried to come up with a good comparison. This comparison card will be a card from a similar set of a similar rarity that's seen a price rise either very recently or in the past, and its price is still significantly higher. So this is a really good example, and this is the card that I think is the most important for you to get ahead of the curve on. This is Paradise Waterfall. This is an uncommon from set 1, exactly the same as Perona. Now, Perona used to see a lot of play in Blue Doflamingo, back when that was a top meta threat, and Paradise Waterfall is about to do the same thing. So Paradise Waterfall is currently seeing a lot of play in Green Zoro, it's also seeing play in Red Green Smoker. You're seeing this card in a lot of new decks because of that ACOS Mihawk blocker that came out. Having a 1-don event that you can block with your Mihawk, activate the event, and then restand the Mihawk, allowing you to block like a 9k and a 7k swing for just one event on the same turn, is ridiculous. And that Mihawk really is the primary reason why this is seeing play. It's seen a little bit of play in RG Odin back in EBO2. However, as we look ahead to OP12, this is the card that I think is going to spike the most in usage and potentially in price. We've already seen the alt art of this card go a bit ballistic, but the regular art you can still pick up for very cheap, so I would recommend doing so sooner than later, especially if you're planning on playing any green decks this format. Next up, we've got Spider's Web, and this is sort of a poor man's version of Paradise Waterfall. Same effect, costs double, and you get double the counter. So this one I've only really seen play in RG Smoker, and it's much less popular of a choice than Paradise Waterfall. But if you're a bit of a completionist and you like to have every option available to you, Spider's Web is probably worth picking up a couple copies. I don't think you would realistically be likely to play a full playset of this, as it is quite expensive, but especially for RG Smoker enjoyers, this could be one to just pick up out of your local store's bulk. The next few cards are all going to be very popular in Rayleigh. So Rayleigh, unlike Green Zoro, is using a lot of older cards, and is bringing a lot of the classic red staples back to the forefront. One such is Buggy. He has that 3000 power, so could be played out with the new 4-cost Luffy, and searches for events, which is incredible when your Rayleigh deck requires you to have events in your hand. This is currently very cheap, about 20 pence on Card Market and just under 50 cents on TCG Player. And for this one, I'd like to compare it to Nojiko. These are both uncommons from OP03, and Nojiko recently saw a big price rise because of Blue Yellow Nami. This has actually dwindled a bit now due to the announcement of a reprint for Nojiko in PRB02. And Buggy is also getting a reprint in PRB02. But that's not coming till October, so if you have events in August or September, or even early October, you will need Buggies if you're planning on playing Rayleigh. The SP of this one has seen a massive price rise recently, but this uncommon version is still relatively cheap. If you're planning on playing Rayleigh, I'd definitely consider picking up Buggies now. Another one that is a Rayleigh card is Nami. This is a set 1 rare, and set 1 cards have traditionally, when they've started seeing a lot of play, gone up very high in price. I don't have a good comparison for you at the moment, because the vast majority of the good OP01 cards have been reprinted in PRB1, which has kind of neutered their price a lot, especially for rares and below. This card's sitting around £1 on Card Market, and just over $2 on TCG Player, and I'm going to put you on some game here. The sort of alt art from ST10 is actually like a little bit cheaper than just this OP01 art. So I would definitely pick up this. I mean, this looks way better, right? You haven't got this massive white box. That's just a little heads up. I think people are not quite aware of this yet. But yeah, the ST10 print of the Nami is cheaper in America. Not so in Europe. The OP01 print is cheaper in Europe. but you could probably still pick this up fairly cheap from mainland Europe. Next up, we've got Sanji, and I didn't have a comparison for either of these two. Like I say, a lot of the OP01 cards have already been reprinted, and this guy has been reprinted in demo decks, but he's still sitting around £1 or $1, and he's not seeing that much play at the minute. Red in general is not that popular outside of Bello Betty. You do occasionally see red Zoro decks, but he's not getting as much success as we expect Rayleigh to be doing in the next set. So if you're a Rayleigh believer, picking up a playset of these Sanjis while they're just like $1 each could be pretty reasonable. Next up, we've got Gum Gum King Kong Gatling, and this is a tech event in Rayleigh. This is typically a 1 or 2 of. I have seen lists playing none. I have seen lists playing more than 2. I think the most common count of this in Rayleigh is 2. And this is an OP06 event. And I'm not going to compare to other OP06 events like Raging Tiger, because they're far more universal. But I think Onami is a reasonable comparison. This is only seeing play in Yamato, between a 2 and 4 of. And Yamato is much less successful than Rayleigh appears to be in the East. So I think the comparison is fair. A Gum Gum King Kong Gatling, absolute bulk prices. You could probably get this off your homies literally for free. Onami sitting around 50 pence or $1.50. I don't think this Gum Gum King Kong Gatling is going to get expensive per se, but if you've got homies with bulk who are happy to give you a couple of these, I think now's a reasonable time to get them before they approach like 50 cents or $1. Next up, we've got the Rush Zoro, and I'm going to put you on to even some more game. The ST10 print of this Rush Zoro is significantly cheaper than the OP01 print in both regions, which to me is kind of balmy, because this looks way better. Like, the OP01 Zoro looks fine, but this looks really quite good. The OP01 print in the States was like $5, and then I was like, oh, I'll have a look at the ST10 print, and it's less than 2, which to me is absolutely balmy. I don't know why you wouldn't just pick this up, especially if you're just a player. But there you go, there's a heads up on that one. This is currently around a 2 of in Rayleigh. It does share slots with the new Jinbei card, and a card that we're about to cover very soon. So you're unlikely to be playing 4 of these all the time, but it's another nice option to have. And for a comparison, well, I've got Set 1 Kid, and this is a weird comparison, right? Because Set 1 Kid is much more universal. You can play this in pretty much any green deck. However, this had a reprint in PRB01, and this Zoro has not had a reprint since ST10. So whilst the Kid sees far more usage overall than Zoro, the fact that this has had a reprint and is still more expensive than this ST10 print of the Zoro, I think gives a good inclination that this card could very well rise in price. Next up, we've got Kidden Killer, and this is the other card that shares a slot with Zoro in the Rayleigh decks. And this card is from EB01. Need I say more? So this guy is sitting around £2 in the EU and around $4 in America. And this is with seeing very little play at the minute. This is sometimes like a 2 of in Red Zoro, but not always. And Red Zoro is not even that popular. So I really do think this could rise significantly. As an example, Finger Pistol is a fairly good comparison. This is waning in usage in Blackbeard and has just been confirmed for a reprint in PRB02 and is still sitting higher, around £3 on card market and $6.50 in the States. So I think if you're a Rayleigh enjoyer, it's probably a good idea to pick up a couple copies of these. This is usually sitting around 2 to 3 copies in Rayleigh. I've not seen many lists playing 4. But this is a great card, and this is one that I would not be too surprised to not see reprinted from EB01. There's a lot of EB01 cards that have needed a reprint, and this is one of the ones that's seen less play. Ever since RP Law was banned, there's not been a lot of Kidden Killer representation. Really just Zoro decks here and there. Next up, we'll move on to just a couple of Kuzan cards. Toshiki and Suru, I've got them on the same page, because they have very little value right now. Toshiki is 100% 4 of in Kuzan. It's your 1-cost searcher. What's more to say? Suru is a very likely 4 in Kuzan, as one of your 2k options. And both of these are rares from OP06. And again, I'm going to pull up Onami. This is a rare from OP06, and Onami is more of a bit of a tech in Yamato, whereas these are going to be staples in Kuzan. I don't know which of those decks is going to be more successful, My gut says Kuzan, but Yamato has been getting a few tops recently, so there's something to be said for that. But either way, whilst these are absolute pennies, if you're planning on playing Kuzan, I definitely implore you to check out your local store's bulk box, check out your homies, see if they've got any going spare, or worst case, just pick up a playset for like $1 for the playset. And last up, I've got Aramaki. Aramaki is a tech option in Kuzan, but it is one that I am quite fond of. I do think this card is very valuable in Kuzan, helps you deal with some protection effects, as well as chump blockers, and I mean, if you look at the last couple of sets, we know how good these massive 8/8 blockers are. This card's currently sitting at like 50 pence on card market, 30 cents in the States. And for comparison, I'm going to call on Yamato again. The Yamato deck plays this Momo, sometimes as a 4-of, sometimes less, sometimes not at all. And it's currently sitting around £1.50 on card market and $3 in the States. Now, I don't think Aramaki is likely to get to this price. I could easily see him getting to like $1, maybe $2, if Kuzan proves to be successful, and Aramaki proves to be a part of that. I wouldn't be running out to get this one. This is very much more of an option. But if you're a Kuzan believer, this is one that is worth having a couple copies of in your back pocket, especially at these prices. So that's it. Not as many this set, just a few cards that I wanted to cover that could go up in price. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. But I have been buying a lot of these, get my playsets done, ready for OP12. And I just thought I'd share with you my thoughts on some of these cards going forwards. I think if you take one thing from this video, it's Paradise Waterfall. Paradise Waterfall has gone from seeing no play for as long as I can remember to being like arguably one of the best events in the game. Not quite on the level of Gum Gum Giant, but very, very good overnight because of that Mihawk blocker. If you're going to take one thing from this video, Paradise Waterfall, get yourself a playset whilst it's cheap. Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of it.